Imagine a world where time is just an illusion and space is only a concept. Picture yourself standing in a vast desert, surrounded by endless golden sand stretching as far as the eye can see. Each grain of sand, every whisper of the wind, holds secrets long forgotten. You look around, and all you can see is the horizon blazing under an unforgiving sun, without a hint of life. But somehow, you feel that you're not alone. For decades, explorers and archaeologists have ventured into the desert, seeking relics, stories, and perhaps secrets that could revolutionize our understanding of the ancient world. Among these explorers was a man with a singular purpose, driven by an obsession that consumed him until his final breath. Wilhelm Müller. A German, born into a family of scientists and visionaries, Müller was convinced there was more hidden in the sands of the desert, something unseen by ordinary eyes. And he was determined to prove it. In 1933, Müller embarked on a journey to Egypt, carrying a journal where he recorded every detail of his journey and a mysterious map obtained from a strange collector in Berlin. This map, according to him, pointed to the location of a hidden city, a place described in ancient Egyptian texts as the City of the Gods. This city was said to house a vast library where millennia-old knowledge and ancient secrets were guarded by beings who transcended human understanding. Weeks went by as Müller pressed on through the desert with unyielding determination. Each day he felt a strange sensation that something was watching him, as if the desert itself were alive. And then, on a cold night, he finally saw something that would change his life forever. In the distance, under the moonlight, Müller glimpsed the silhouette of a massive stone complex carved directly into the desert rock. He approached cautiously, fearing it might just be a mirage. But as he touched the cool ancient stones, he knew he was standing before something real and unimaginably old. The complex was covered with hieroglyphs and symbols unlike anything he had ever seen. Intricate drawings depicted strange beings, figures that combined human and animal characteristics, beings that seemed to transcend the natural order. Müller noticed that many of these drawings seemed to tell a story. One panel illustrated a scene where winged figures descended from the skies, bearing luminous objects that he believed were gods or otherworldly beings. In his journal, he described this moment in vivid detail, noting that he felt a mixture of fear and fascination. He was captivated. Standing in front of that immense, silent structure, Müller knew he had stumbled upon something unique. Imagine being surrounded by stone walls as ancient as the desert itself, filled with a historical weight that seemed to resonate with your very soul. Each block of that structure was precisely set, as if crafted to withstand eternity. There were no signs of wear, no cracks. To Müller, this was proof that the city held something beyond human, something that would challenge even the most skeptical minds. As he moved deeper into the complex, he encountered symbols that grew increasingly disturbing. Strange figures seemed to follow a logical pattern, yet they remained indecipherable to any linguist. On one wall, he found a depiction of what seemed to be the lords of the city. Majestic, distant beings with an almost alien appearance. They had large, cold eyes and, in some cases, wore masks that concealed their expressions. Müller felt as if touching those carvings opened a door to the unknown. Each figure seemed to tell an ancient story, yet it also left something unsaid, as if the secret itself was right there, within reach, but veiled by an invisible force. He spent days exploring the complex, unveiling chamber after chamber, each more enigmatic than the last. Some rooms contained inscriptions about the universe, describing what appeared to be constellations and celestial maps with uncanny precision. But deep down, Müller knew something awaited him. He felt a presence, an almost tangible energy, drawing him to the center of that complex. And then he found the chamber that he believed was the heart of the City of the Gods. This room was unlike any other. It was larger, surrounded by immense columns and symbols engraved in gold, silver, and unknown metals. In the center stood an elevated structure resembling an altar. But unlike a common altar, it had a sort of hollow receptacle, as if something grand had once rested there and was removed long ago. Müller spent hours analyzing that room, trying to understand the significance of that sacred place. Each wall was a canvas filled with stories, mysteries that seemed otherworldly. Then he found a symbol that would change everything. Hidden on one wall, beneath a thin layer of dust, was the drawing of an eye. Not just any eye, but a symbol that seemed to pulse with its own energy. It was as if that eye were watching him, as if it were alive. Müller felt a wave of vertigo, as though he stood on the brink of discovering something so vast that his human mind couldn't withstand it. He recorded every detail in his journal, but what he described there was never read by anyone else. Only one phrase is known from Müller's final notes. The truth lies beyond what we can see. It dwells in the gaze of the unknown. In the early 2000s, lost documents were rediscovered by a young researcher, Paul Anders, who found Müller's writings in an old German library. Paul was captivated by the descriptions, the figures, the inscriptions, but what intrigued him most was the story of that eye. The symbol so powerful, it nearly drove Müller mad. Paul decided to follow in the explorer's footsteps, traveling to the Egyptian desert to verify the descriptions. When he arrived, Paul felt a sense of disorientation, as if something in the desert was out of place. It was the same desert Müller had described, yet Paul knew he was searching for something beyond the visible. He had advanced technology, drones, sensors, and experts. But even so, the location seemed to slip out of view, almost as if it were alive, hiding from unwanted gazes. Days went by, and he began to have strange dreams. Paul saw figures dressed like ancient Egyptian priests, but their expressions were empty, emotionless. They murmured something in an unknown language, a language that sounded like an echo from the depths of time. Every night, he woke up with the same feeling, as if he were being summoned. 1 week after his arrival, Paul found a small opening in the ground, covered by centuries of sand. He entered, lighting his way with a flashlight, and realized he was inside a tunnel lined with symbols similar to those described by Müller. The symbols seemed to vibrate under the light, as if they were alive. And, at the end of the tunnel, he found a chamber, not the same one Müller had described, but something similar, perhaps a guard room or entryway. He knew he was getting closer to the truth. For many, the City of the Gods is more than just a legend. It's a key to forbidden knowledge, a bridge between worlds. But what exactly does it conceal? And why has so much effort been made to keep it hidden? Some say the ancient inhabitants, the lords of the city, weren't of human origin. Conspiracy theorists claim these beings could manipulate time and space, possessing knowledge of the nature of reality that we are only beginning to understand. Some believe they came from another galaxy, while others suggest they've always been here, watching over us and guiding the course of civilization. The inscriptions on the walls indicate that they understood the secrets of life and death. On one panel, Paul found what appeared to be a depiction of a ritual, where a central figure, illuminated by divine light, transcended their physical state, ascending into a sphere of pure energy. The figure seemed to dissolve into the light, becoming one with it. This process was described in ancient texts as the rite of ascension, something reserved only for those who attained supreme understanding. Imagine the power of such knowledge. Imagine what it could mean for humanity, a ritual that allows transcendence, transforming body and mind into pure energy, connecting human beings to a greater reality where death is not the end, but a transition. But not everyone seeking the City of the Gods sought this power for noble reasons. Paul discovered that secret societies worldwide had tried to control this knowledge for centuries. From antiquity to today, a network of secret societies, known by various names such as the Order of the Serpent, the Guardians of the Eye, the Brotherhood of the Hidden Light, existed with the sole purpose of protecting or dominating the city's secret. These societies believed the knowledge contained within could give their members absolute power over humanity. Some of the greatest wars and historical events might have been caused by disputes among these societies, vying to secure control over these mysteries. Paul was shocked to discover that ancient documents even mentioned historical figures linked to these societies, famous names who manipulated kingdoms and nations. Could it be that the great secrets that shaped our world were driven by this quest for hidden power? And if, in attempting to dominate the city, these men were also touching something they didn't understand? And now, here we are, standing on the brink of the unknown together. So if this story intrigued you, if you feel the call of the City of the Gods pulling you in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this mystery with others. Because who knows, maybe you'll be the next one to hear the city's call. As time passed and weeks turned into months, Paul was consumed by the City of the Gods. He continued to pore over every symbol, every etching, determined to piece together a narrative that was only visible in fragments. But it wasn't just the physical walls or the ancient carvings that haunted him. It was the presence he felt within. A silent, watching force seemed to follow his every step, like a guardian of the secrets he was so desperate to uncover. One night, Paul returned to his tent, exhausted but unable to rest. He lay staring at the canvas ceiling, trying to silence the images flashing through his mind. He saw visions of priests, guardians, beings cloaked in robes of a deep indigo hue, performing rituals in silence, their eyes fixed upon a central stone that glowed with an otherworldly light. Their expressions were solemn, intense, as if they were deeply aware of the power they wielded and the responsibility that came with it. Paul found himself questioning if this city was even meant to be discovered. What if its secrets were meant to stay buried, reserved only for those who could understand and respect their magnitude? But even as these doubts crept in, something deeper drove him forward, a yearning for answers, a pull that had taken hold of him ever since he first read Müller's words. After days of meticulous exploration, he encountered what seemed to be a final barrier, an enormous stone door engraved with symbols he hadn't seen before. These engravings depicted beings with wings that spread wide across the stone, figures positioned as if in flight or perhaps in judgment. It was as if they stood guard over the doorway, their eyes fixed upon whoever dared to pass. Paul's hand trembled as he reached for the door, feeling the cool, smooth surface beneath his fingertips. Slowly, with a creaking groan that echoed through the empty corridors, the door gave way, revealing a chamber bathed in an eerie golden glow. This chamber was unlike any he had seen before. Enormous pillars stretched toward the ceiling, carved with images of stars and galaxies, an intricate cosmic map that seemed to depict the universe itself. In the center of the chamber lay a pedestal upon which sat an object draped in shadows. As he drew closer, Paul could make out the outline of a massive dark stone, polished, almost reflective, with an aura that seemed to pulse with energy. The stone was the heart of the city of the gods. Paul knew this without doubt, as if some ancient part of him recognized it instinctively. But as he gazed into its depths, he saw more than just his own reflection. Shadows danced within, forming fleeting images, figures from another time, beings who walked these halls before him, guardians who had pledged to protect the city's secrets for eternity. Without realizing it, he reached out, his fingers hovering mere inches from the stone. And in that moment, everything changed. A surge of energy shot through him, filling him with visions beyond comprehension. He saw the ancient priests standing before this very stone, chanting in a language older than memory. He saw civilizations rise and fall, knowledge preserved and forgotten, and above all, he saw the lords of the city. Beings who seemed to transcend human understanding, beings who existed on the edge of reality. As the vision faded, Paul staggered back, his mind racing. He understood now why Müller had been drawn to this place, why he had sacrificed everything in pursuit of its secrets. The city of the gods was more than just a relic of the past. It was a relic of all time, a place where knowledge was guarded by an intelligence so ancient and vast that it defied the limits of human comprehension. He understood, too, why Müller had cautioned, the truth lies beyond what we can see. It dwells in the gaze of the unknown. Paul returned to his tent that night, exhausted, with a heart heavy from what he'd witnessed. He realized that the journey was never about finding answers. It was about being open to the questions, to the mysteries that couldn't be solved, but only respected. And perhaps, he mused, that was the city's greatest gift. A reminder that not all knowledge is meant to be understood, and that some secrets exist simply to be wondered at, to fuel the human spirit's quest for the unknown. In the end, he knew he could never truly leave the city of the gods. Even if he physically walked away, its presence would remain with him always, calling to him in quiet moments, whispering its age-old secrets just beyond the edge of hearing. And maybe, just maybe, that was its purpose all along. And so, if this story has captivated you, if you feel the pull of the city of the gods reaching out from across the sands of time, then join us on this journey into the unknown. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with others, because who knows, maybe one day, you'll be the one standing in the shadow of an ancient doorway, feeling the gaze of the unknown watching back.